racing fan, Lee Craft, the Monday Morning Racer, here live on Between the Slicks. You ready to talk about some drag racing? I certainly am. There's always plenty to talk about in the world of drag racing, and that is no different tonight. There is plenty to talk about, from the opportunity to opine with opinion and move on to drag racing news, and then relative guests from the world of drag racing. Our guest tonight, later on tonight, we will have Mel Roth on. He is leading the way of the ADRL this year in 2022. Yes, the ADRL is out there. The ADRL will be stopping to at least 2 venues this year in 2022 and giving racers there in the West and Midwest with these type of animals of race cars, Pro Extreme, a place to race. Looking forward to talking with him and what the hopes and aspirations and the dreams and desires that ADRL are, and also the group that they have that routinely is willing to participate under that banner, such as Frankie the Madman Taylor and others. So definitely we're looking forward to talking to Mel. And plus, there's plenty to talk with Mel beyond the ADRL. He is definitely heavily involved in the world of drag racing with several other promotions, the Super Streetcar Nationals, and what's going to be happening with that, and so on and so on. So there's plenty to talk with Mel about. You know, a buddy of mine, Darren Williams Jr., American Hot Rod Entertainment, he recently was able to experience some drag racing on the East Coast, the West Coast kid, and he remarked that, wow, what a scene the East Coast has for drag racing. And it is interesting. You go from sections of the country to another section of the country, what is popular and what is happening and what is going on. And you look east, and there's certainly a great door car scene. PDRA, NHRA, NMCA, Northeast Outlaw Pro Mod Association, and Big Dog series running tonight. They're at Piedmont Dragway in North Carolina, so on and so on. You go into the Midwest, and you've got like Funny Car Chaos doing its things and being popular, and you've got the altered scene, and you go far west, and you've got another funny car scene, you know, so on, so on, so on. So, well, it's good to see, it's good to hear, especially for Midwest and West Coast guys, hey, something going on in the door car world. And maybe one day eventually we get everybody together and we can have them duke it out and have big races across the United States. And someone even put the money up to have a series. I would love to eventually see it where, kind of in the dirt car world. In the dirt car world, or at least at one time you did, and I think this still holds true to some of the late model venues and sprint car venues. If you win certain races in certain places at certain times of the year, and you win all of those that are like crown jewels and big money races, there's a multiplier. I think it'd be pretty interesting to see if you win the big PDRA race, and then you go and compete and you win an ADRL race, whatever the big one is going to be, and then you also win the Snowbirds, and like 4 or 5 races, you win them all, and someone's like, hey, here's an extra $100,000 for winning all of those. I think that'd be pretty cool. That'd be a neat program for the Door Slammer guys. Drag Racing Central chimes in and says, MMR, thank you for watching, man. Good to have you on. Johnny Placino, hey, man, congratulations on the win. They're at Bowling Green in the Extreme Pro Stock class. He says, see you next week. Yeah, I hope to make it up to Richmond. We'll see. I don't know if I'm going to be the entire weekend or just Sunday or partially there Sunday and maybe stay after for testing on Monday. I'm sure there will be plenty of people testing on that wonderful surface that Virginia Motorsports Park is. They're at Tommy and Judy Franklin's house. But congratulations on the win. And what another great year it is already shaping up for PDRA. It already just 2 events in, and cannot wait to see where that goes for them this year in the competition they've got. And new names are winning and new stars are rising, and ones that are familiar with us are competing and doing very well also. So again, congratulations, Johnny. Dennis Frame, he says, hello from Long Island. You know, we're going to talk a little bit about Long Island, I think, in just a few moments. Stan chimes in, MMR. Guys, thank you for watching along. Hit that like button for me. Hit the share button. If you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm looking at it now, and almost got everyone that's watching right now has hit the like button. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. Want to continue to grow and expand this show and reach more people with this show where we talk about it all in drag racing, because I'm going to start out on the Monday Morning Racer soapbox, so to speak, before we step into the drag news section of the first half of the show before we bring on our guest. There's an article floating around on the internet from a site called Motor Biscuit. I had never heard of Motor Biscuit until this article that's floating around on Facebook. This is where I encountered it. Well, I saw it. I click on it. I hear about Motor Biscuit. You do some more searching on their website. They are mainly a website in which they cover consumer report news, is the best way I can put it, for the automotive industry. So this car does this in the quarter mile, and it does this in the solemn, and this is the features you can expect, and this is a new engine coming out with this particular manufacturer, those type of things. Definitely within car culture, you need those sites, but occasionally they will have articles on motorsports, and they have articles in particular on drag racing. And most of the time, from what I can see and what I have read, those articles are rather negative. And I have to wonder what in the world they're smoking and what in the world they're thinking. I like to think of myself as a bit of a glass half full kind of guy instead of glass half empty kind of guy, seasoned with being real about what's happening and going on. But their particular article, entitled Drag Strips Closing Across U.S., Phoenix, Houston, Arizona, Wild Horse, Atlanta, Palm Beach, Memphis, almost makes it sound like drag racing is dead. And I want to highlight this and be this open letter visually about what was written. And Tom Taylor there wrote this article, and I'm surprised it has the inaccuracies in it that it does, because apparently he is a guy that has written for a lot of magazines that I enjoy, Hot Rodding, Popular Hot Rodding, and beyond. Well, here on Motor Biscuit, I almost wonder if this was a situation where someone popped into the office and said, we need some smut, get it out now. And they threw an article together, because I think they missed it. So right now, yes, we are experiencing a lot of high-profile tracks closing. But that's not to say that right now in the world of drag racing, things are in a negative way. So let me break down, not fully, but I'm gonna take and put this in perspective. The article begins and says, what's happening to drag racing? Drag strips are closing everywhere. To wit, Phoenix, Arizona's last drag strip. But what? Phoenix, Arizona's last drag strip. I'm going to bring that up again. Look at that. To wit, Phoenix, Arizona's last drag strip. Well, just Tucson's wiped off the map. What happened? Now, granted, there's not that many drag strips actually in the state of Arizona. And what we will have with Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park going away is alarming. Granted, you talk to locals in the area, and one of those locals actually sponsors this show, My Destroyer 1320, with his great theft deterrent system that you can find on destroyer1320.com for your modern muscle car. He is a local of the Phoenix area, and they're like, well, they plan on building a new motorsports facility away from where we have Wild Horse Motorsports Pass. Anyway, what I'm getting at is the article opens up with an infactual statement. Arizona's last drag strip. Tucson, where you at? Just not there. Just there's no more drag strips in Arizona. They're gone. Yeah, there we go. All right, we're not done. It continues. You know, I could understand if it was a typo, if it was one issue, if it was one problem, but there are more issues throughout this article from Motor Biscuit. You continue on. The one of the sections in the article is drag racing as popular as it was in the past. It says, but part of this whole bad trend is a sad truth that the hobby of drag racing is aging out. The generation that created, developed, and participated in drag racing is dying, and the subsequent generations haven't grown up with that car culture interest. I guess I'm 60. I guess Drag Racing Central, he's an elder guy. I'm sorry. I go to the drag strip, whether it's Funny Car Chaos, or I go to a PDRA race, or even an NHRA national event, and I see a lot of youth. You know, also where I see a lot of youth, I see a ton of young people right now in car culture in the back of the track, no prep type of movement. There are plenty of young people participating, whether that participation is hot rodding their machines or they are in fact just watching. I see young people regularly at drag races. I see young people at Southeast Gasser events. There are young people participating in nostalgia events like the Southeast Gasser Association. There's young people in Funny Car Chaos driving, whether it's young ladies like Jade Cook or Jordan Ballou, the Dry Hop King in his nostalgia Camaro funny car. I mean, there is plenty of youth in this sport. Can we always bring more people in? Yes. Can we always bring in younger people? Yes. I think there are things that are coming out that is going to help, such as the drag racing video game. But man, the article sounds an alarm, like there is nobody under 40 in drag racing anymore. And that's just not the case. I think there's plenty of young people in drag racing. All right. I'm not done. I'm not done. And this is one of those issues, like you can't believe everything you read on the internet, because throughout this article, I'm just reading and I'm thinking to myself, well, that's not right. Again, Arizona's last drag strip being Phoenix. No. Then the people who actually have an interest in drag racing, that they're dying out and aging out, I'm like, well, what about Pacino? He's just on the show, Johnny Pacino. Johnny, you're an old dude. Sorry, man. And what about all the popularity around No Prep Kings on Discovery Channel and what is going on there? I mean, folks, that is drag racing. It may be a TV show, but they are being competitive, and there's a huge popularity around it. Maybe they're not the most hardcore drag racing fans. Maybe they're locked into personalities, but you have a movement there that is drag racing. We're not done. The article goes on, and it mentions, by the way, it mentioned Fontana Dragway as being owned by the NHRA, which is inaccurate. You know, Fontana Dragway, the auto club Fontana Dragway, will be no more. It's going to be turned over and made into a parking lot, in essence. Well, that wasn't owned by the NHRA. That was owned by, in essence, NASCAR, the International Speedway Corporation. But they didn't even accurately get that, no, it's Auto Club at Pomona that the NHRA has connection and ties to, it being a municipal facility with the Fairplex. It's kind of a strange deal, but it got into it, but missed it. Anyway, look at the top article, top part here. It says Fontana Speedway will no longer run cup racing, as it is now a short track. Well, I know we're a drag racing show here, but that's inaccurate, because Fontana Speedway is going to be reconfigured into a short track to hold cup races on a short track. It goes on to talk about Ontario Speedway, which is a great place to springboard and talk about that, hey, we have had drag strips and racing facilities come on the scene and go off the scene for a very long time. And we still have a sport, and we still have drag racing, we still have motorsports. They also mentioned Atlanta Dragway, which was sold to put funds toward other NHRA properties. One, I don't think the NHRA should own properties. I think they have not been good stewards of the facilities in which they have owned. I thinking in Atlanta Dragway, because that was my home national event. I did junior dragster there and would routinely go there, never see any improvements and updates, and maybe just a patch to some pothole in the pit area. But I was not surprised when the NHRA sold it, and ultimately I don't think they really need to be in ownership of that many properties, and it's better to be in private hands. With all that said, it seemed like the article had a whole lot of doom and gloom to it about drag racing and these tracks. Notice, these are high-profile tracks that they're talking about. Memphis, former national event track, whether NHRA or IHRA. Houston, national event track. Atlanta, national event track. Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park, national event track. And motorsports facility beyond just being a drag strip. But this article did nothing to cite what is happening elsewhere in drag racing of the positives with tracks. The Texas Motorplex enhancing their programs and holding that much more, such as the Stampede of Speed, which the ADRL will be a part of this year in 2022. We'll definitely talk with Mel about that. You have Tucson, the other drag strip in Arizona that apparently doesn't exist by that article. They are expanding, and they are bringing in new grandstands, and they are in the running, as it were, for a NHRA national event. You have talk of a brand new world-class facility being built around the Hattiesburg, Mississippi area, not just for drag racing, but for SCCA and for circle track and karting and so on. There's talk from COTA, the Circuit of the Americas, definitely a world-class facility, one that has had V8 supercars, NASCAR, F1, and other venues, other racing bodies come into that venue. They have talked about throwing their hat into the ring and building a world-class facility drag strip there in the San Antonio, Austin, Texas area. You have positive news throughout drag racing. I think an article like that, focusing just on the negative, does a disservice to the sport because, yes, we are losing tracks, but we, in fact, are gaining tracks, and, in fact, we are having tracks make improvement. I think of Empire Dragway in New York. They have made sweeping improvements, and Dennis Frame, well, you know, he can probably clue you in, along with John Montecalvo. Man, Long Island, the island got drag racing back on the island last year at an airstrip. That's something John Montecalvo was important and instrumental in getting involved, and that will continue to grow and expand, and we can see more from it. What I'm saying is, it frustrates me when I read articles like that on the internet that sound an alarm and they're completely negative and they don't highlight any positives, and then they don't even get their facts straight. Like, that was not very well thought out. Oh, the last drag strip in Arizona and it being in Phoenix. Nope. Didn't have the facts straight on the reconfiguration and running cup at Fontana. Didn't have the facts straight about NHRA owning the Fontana drag strip. You know I'm a guy with big shades, big beard, and wears a ball cap all the time, but my goodness, You can get your facts straight. It's not that hard. Even I can do that. And I look like a joker out here. My goodness. That just blows my mind. Okay, there's a soapbox. Let me dive into some comments here. Pat chimes in and says, started reading and backed out. Not something I want to read. Yeah, I'm glad you did. Yeah, that's why I'm even covering it, kind of this visual open letter. James says, what's up, MMR? It's not really on drag strips, but I think part of the problem of the state of drag racing, mainly in NHRA, is that one, prices for spectators, tickets and parking, and two, the drivers they promote most of the time is from the same top names in the sport and almost nothing on the underdogs. Yes, I could see some of that being changed. I mean, look, one thing about underdogs have got to do is underdogs that you're referring to, well, they got to find ways to get themselves on camera and promote themselves. And some of those great ways are social media. I can tell you, in dealing with some of the underdogs, they don't understand the value of that and they don't participate in that. Or when a guy like me who loves to focus on the independents and underdogs comes around and you don't bother to give time for yourself on even my camera, you've got issues, and that does happen out there. Now, ticket prices is something that's an interesting argument. What I mean by that is if you start looking at ticket prices and inflation and putting it all together, well, the ticket prices aren't that bad. It's very interesting to me. We want to mention ticket prices, and yet the NFL still has good crowds. NASCAR can still have a decent crowd, even with their ticket being much more than an NHRA drag race. And then also, if you're not able to go to an NHRA drag race because of the ticket, well, then like ADRL, it's technically a free ticket. You just pay for parking. Bring a whole busload. Pay for at the PDRA, whatever it is. There is a racing venue out there for you. Drag Racing Central says, biggest fake news. Drag Racing Central, I'm 15 and basically summer is basically drag racing. So yes, yeah. Sean, he says, too many internet websites scrape hard to publish daily content, and unfortunately it breeds under-research and brainless rambling. Yes, it does. It does. And that is what happened with this particular article, it seems like. I just don't understand. I don't understand. Dennis, he says, I live in Glen Cove, Long Island, and I was in the bagel store of the day having breakfast, and the young kid said he liked my T-shirt from the NHRA. He was with his mother, and they were telling me how he's a junior dragster driver. Made me feel really good, especially on Long Island. I'd love to give him a shout out. I don't know his name, but he was from Roslyn, Long Island. See, that's cool. That right there. There's someone young noticing your T-shirt and junior dragster driver. That's just it. I don't think that article really carried and had the sense of what is happening in the sport. I think we are experiencing a upward trend, not a downward trend right now. Oh, yeah. So there we go. There we go. Carl says, hey, man. And yeah, Stan, MMR, get off my track segment. Well, I was just dumbfounded by that article. Pat chimes in and says, articles like this really hurt drag racing with the casual fan. Yes! And that is a point that I don't know if I've made it clearly, but I have to agree, and it's a point I wanted to bring up with this, is I have seen a lot of people share it, and I've seen people share it into drag racing groups on Facebook, for example, and I don't think people have taken the time to actually read it. They read, sadly, a lot of people are guilty of, they read a headline and they think they know what the article says and they make comments on it. And I feel like that has been the case with this article from Motor Biscuit floating around. And it's like, guys, if you actually dive in and look at this article, there is a lot of things that it's got wrong. And it's not even worth sharing. And it's better to share, I think, from competitionplus.com. Like, for example, competitionplus.com, Bobby Bennett, he put out a great article that Atlanta Dragway was this political ploy. And I can completely see that with Atlanta Dragway in my time in history there, that was the case. or share from Drag Illustrated, share from Dragzine. And I'm not saying that we can't share from anywhere else that is not a drag racing news outlet, but nonetheless, read the article, check the facts, and see if it holds up, because I just do not think that one held up at all. Well, look, we are getting near the time to bring Mel Roth on. We're going to take time for some drag news and fly through that. In drag news, well, again, good news for racetracks. Jeff Miles, he has been announced the new president at Darlington Dragway. So Russell and Dee Miller, husband and wife, they purchased the track around 2015, and they have done a lot of great work, and they've brought that track to the forefront. It has become a venue for drag racing of many different types of sanctioning bodies and big races. Well, they are transitioning away from day-to-day operations, and Jeff Miles, who was attempting to actually purchase Memphis International Raceway, that deal fell through, but he's able to come back home to his home state of South Carolina here in Darlington and be the new president at Darlington Dragway. And what was stated in general, this reported on Drag Illustrated, is that Jeff intends to continue to make Darlington a better facility. And it does need some work. Darlington has a spectacular surface. It has a spectacular surface, but they do need to work on other elements of that track, I think, to be a bit more fan-friendly. And I think that's definitely in the works. I'm sure that's something Russell and Dee, from meeting them, and Dee's really cool. I'm sure that was in the works and the plans, but they have their own business, PD Fleet, and with running the track, I'm sure, hey, things get overlooked, but now Jeff coming in, maybe we can see things move ahead for Darlington Dragway in a positive light. Things are positive there already, and we see Darlington have brighter days ahead with Jeff at the helm. Don Schumacher Racing, they come out with a brand new crate engine. As you can see there, 1,150 horsepower at 6,500 RPM and 974 foot-pounds of torque at 5,200 RPM. That's almost 1,000 foot-pounds of torque. And guys, they did the dyno on this Hemi-based 426 cubic inch monster. They did it on the dyno with 93 octane. We're not talking about racing gas. The highest pump gas you can get at the pump, 93 octane, and it produced 1,150 horsepower. Wow. And again, to me, here's another positive, like the aftermarket industry within drag racing. It's working, it's pumping. Don Schumacher Racing, everybody earlier, oh, what's happening? It's dying. There's only one top fuel car, and yet there's like 4 factory stock cars. And Don has stated several times, hey, if someone brings the money, we'll field a funny car. We'll field a top fuel dragster. And then they're doing other things within racing, like this crate motor from the Don Schumacher Racing camp. Again, I think we're experiencing massive shifts and changes, but those shifts and changes should not be misconstrued or misunderstood to be death to the great sport of drag racing. Another track improvement, Mr. Earwood over there at Rockingham Dragway, well, a new timing system will be brought in. Bob Brockmeyer, founder and CEO of CompuLink, which is a national standard and the official timing system for the NHRA, they're going to be stepping up and in to put in a brand new electronic system for Rockingham Dragway for monitors, sensors, so on. And that just continues a wave of improvements for Rockingham Dragway. There's been new ticket booths, concessions, and crossover bridges, and even the track surface has been revamped there by Mr. Earwood at Rockingham Dragway. And that's definitely a track I have not been to, but they continue to make improvements, and you continue to see them get bigger and better events. And very quickly, want to mention that Mike Decker and family, his son, it was an all-Decker final for the Northeast Outlaw Pro Mod Association opener at Maryland International Raceway. You can see them in the winner's circle here. Mike Decker wins over his son. 30 years now, the Northeast Outlaw Pro Mod Association has been in operation, and their next race will be at Atco, New Jersey, May 13th through the 14th. So if you're in the Northeast and you can't make it to Richmond for the NHRA National event, yes, there is drag racing that you can partake in, and that is the drag racing the Northeast Outlaw Pro Mod Association. Now, this week in Mother's Day weekend, happy to all the mothers out there, and Mom, if you're watching, happy Mother's Day to you. I won't forget the card, I promise, but I will be on the road. I'm going to be going to the Southeast Gasser Association. You can see a lot of those event flyers over my shoulder, but they are racing in the great state of Alabama this weekend, north of Birmingham, Mount Lastier, I believe it is, Dragway, Mount Olive, Alabama. I'm going to be there covering that event. Looking forward to Southeast Gasser Association action. And do not forget, in 3 weeks' time, Odessa, Texas, West Texas, the 4th Funny Car Chaos race of the year will go down. And be on the lookout at Funny Car Chaos on the YouTube channel. The coverage from the most recent event in East Texas at Pine Valley Raceway, it will be rolling out soon. Also, you can be looking out on Monday Morning Racer right here on the YouTube channel. I will have testing from ZMAX coming out very, very soon as well. There was testing that went down Monday after the national event, including Pro Stock. There were a few Pro Stockers out there from the KB camp, and we will show you highlights from that. We're going to bring Mel Roth on here in just a few moments. Let me go through the comments one more time. Pat says, I compare ticket prices to what a cup of Starbucks costs. Look, I think that's a good thing. You know, weigh, what are you trying to entertain yourselves? What is valuable? What are you getting? What are you not? And Carl says, too much business and not enough pleasure. They are only interested in the cars that get the cameras on them. Yes, that's right, Carl. And there has to be a balance because, you know, for example, I hear people, they want to say, well, what about showing the sportsman classes on the broadcast? Well, nothing against the sportsman classes. There's great drag racers and characters in those, but it would be better and it would behoove them if there was something to showcase those personalities, because people are going to gravitate to personalities even over cars. And the reason people gravitate to the fuel classes because they know somebody in it, like whether it's John Force or whether it is Antron Brown, there is some type of connection there. And I think like you're going to see a rise in the popularity of Pro Stock Motorcycle because of the personality of like Steve Johnson and the feuding with Matt Smith. Also, you cannot deny, like for example, when you go to a Funny Car Chaos race, what's the show? The funny cars. When you go to an NHRA national event, what is the show? Yes, it's the fuel cars. It's that simple. I love Pro Stock. I love Pro Stock Motorcycle. I love the alcohol classes. But the fact is, the show is the fuel cars. And it behooves a sanctioning body to lean in to what is its big ticket item and sell it. You don't go to a Major League Baseball game and see minor league. You don't go to an NFL football game and see the USFL, which is one of the challenges that drag racing has. How do you convey to everybody what all these classes are? Like, For example, the winner at ZMAX. Who is the winner? Well, it's John Force. It is Steve Johnson. It is Mike Salinas. But it's not just those three guys. It goes on. Also, the winner of the Circle K 4-wide nationals at ZMAX. Well, whoever won in Alcohol Funny Car, whoever won in Alcohol Dragster, whoever won in Top Fuel Harley, whoever won, and you have all these winners. So who is the winner? Well, there's like 8 of them or 10 of them. That can definitely be confusing. And how do you put that on ESPN, for example? Now, someone wins at F1, one winner. Someone wins at the cup level in NASCAR, one winner. So it would behoove NHRA, I think, to say, you know what? We're going to report the winner of Top Fuel. Oh, let's see. Stan, why did PDRA stop racing at Darlington? I don't know. Johnny Pacino, you still in the comment section? Chime in. Let us know. I'm not sure. I have not been to Rockingham. South Carolina, the upstate of South Carolina over to Rockingham, you're looking at about 4 hours. And we always had Commerce closer. And also, there were so many other drag strips right in our area, whether it's Greer or Ware Shoals, that were closer to us. So we never competed there. And for a lot of my time, Rockingham actually wasn't an NHRA facility, and it didn't have an NHRA national event. It's kind of went in and out of its history. So, yeah, never made it over there. Going bracket racing, MMR, have you heard anything about the qualifying order for the big dog tonight at Piedmont? I have not heard, no. I know there apparently are some issues with big dog at Piedmont. There are some rule changes, and from what I understand, some people weren't happy, but I'm sure they're going to work through that and continue on. I think there was like 9 cars that showed up to compete at big dog, if I remember seeing the post correctly. Factory X is going to bring interest and personalities, in my opinion. What do you think, MMR? I agree. I think Factory X can be a great place for some more personalities to show up and be and make a name for themselves. And there's actually a rendering released today on one of the first ones to roll out. That'd be cool to see. All right, guys, we transition. We need to get Mel on here. We need to talk to him and talk about some ADRL and what is in store. So let me take a break. And Mel Roth, after the break, the guy leading the helm for the American Drag Racing League.
If you own a beautiful modern muscle car like this 1320 Challenger, I'm sure you don't want it stolen. Because the Challenger and many other modern vehicles have an easily accessible neutral release strap. That was your coin holder in your center console, and beneath that there's this red cord that someone can pop, put it into neutral, and potentially easily steal your car. But at Destroyer1320.com, they have the TDS, Theft Deterrent System, which is a cover over that strap using factory mounting points so that you don't get popped by a thief. So make sure to go to Destroyer1320.com using promo code MMR for 15% off and get your Theft Deterrent System, TDS, and steal the thieves' hope.
All right, Mel Roth, man, welcome to the show.
How we doing?
Man, I'm doing great. Already enjoying the talk and chat on drag racing, and look to springboard off my soapbox. Man, what do you think right now? You've been in this drag racing thing for a while as a promoter of some major promotions. Do you think it's positive right now? Is it actually negative right now? Where is drag racing going in general?
Well, I listen to you and I hear you get your news from Facebook. Well, there's your problem. I mean, if you look at what you see on Facebook today, I mean, what do you really believe? I go to a lot of drag races. We sell our merchandise. We do, we go to NHRA races. We go to, am I there?
Yeah, you're there. Yep.
Oh, sorry. My screen went black. So, okay. We go to NHRA races and we get to see the crowd. We go to No Prep King race here at Texas Motorplex. Drag racing is alive and well. what they, it's what they want you to believe. I get it. Tracks are going to close. Tracks are always going to close. It's just part of the nature of the beast, I guess, as we call it. And a lot of them tracks that you talk to, I've had my PSCA races at Auto Club Dragway, not Auto Club Speedway, at Wild Horse, Speed World in Phoenix area has closed down, in the past 10 to 15 years. LA County Raceway. I mean, things are just they're going to close down. I mean, it just the way it goes, and no different than any stores that will close when a Walmart comes to town, and a lot of the mom and pop stores go away. But, the crowds are huge. You can watch NHRA on Fox, and you can see the crowds are huge. The personalities, the Eric Enders, and they're just, Steve Johnson especially, he's fun to watch. I mean, he just, he's a fun guy, and they, I'm not saying that we need more Steve Johnsons, but we need more Steve Johnson types, guys that just ain't going to be, like read a script when you win. I mean, that guy wins, and it's just like, it's unbelievable to this guy. That's what we need. We need that kind of energy in the sport of drag racing.
Yeah, man, that's why I highlighted that article. I was just blown away by it, and the mistakes that were throughout it. I'm like, man, someone just did not take the time to talk to someone like a Mel Roth, or talk to a Wes Buck, or talk to someone actually at the NHRA. I've been to every NHRA national event this year, and other than Pomona, and that was mainly due to the restrictions that were just lifted right before the event started. Right. I'm not saying they have all been sellouts, but they've been packed. They have been really good crowds.
Right. And then Jim Hughes, who owns Tucson, I mean, that poor guy, now he doesn't even have a track in the state of Arizona. I mean, obviously Arizona doesn't have a lot of tracks. However, they do have Tucson, and it's, and Jim Hughes has been putting a lot of money into that facility, and, and kudos to Jim and Matt DeYoung, who runs the day-to-day. And like I said, he just Jim Hughes is a great guy for this sport. He follows the No Prep Kings arounds, and and because he knows that he gets it. He knows that there's more to just NHRA, and which there is. I mean, I get it. NHRA, without NHRA, we can't all race, and we have to understand that. Everyone says, "Oh, let's get rid of the NHRA." You can't. No, we have to have the NHRA, from safety to insurance to every tracks. So trust me, you may not like everything that NHRA stands for. However, as a whole, we need them, and we follow their guidelines.
That's right. They are the standard for a reason, and I'm glad there is a standard out there in the sport. And people, they don't recognize it is the world's largest motorsports body, period, like by far, with all the tracks and how far it goes even internationally. Even though they may not be the IHRA, they are in fact an international entity. So yeah, they keep the racer safe. I had a top field driver one time. I was talking with him. He's like, yeah, as much as we bicker about the NHRA, they do keep us safe, because it would be the wild, wild west out there, I think, if the NHRA was not in existence and living on its motto of, well, keeping things safe out there and making drag racing what it is. Well, you are doing a great part in drag racing. Before we dive in directly on ADRL, what is Mel's background? Why drag racing? Talk to me about Super Streetcar Nationals and the PSCA and everything you've been involved in, and why you're the guy to take the mantle of ADRL and run with it and make it successful again.
Well, man, I've experienced this my 23rd year in race promotion. Started with the PSCA, Pacific Streetcar Association. We started at LACR. We raced at Speed World, and then started in 2000 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, which became our home track, and Fontana. And then we also had races in Tucson. So we raced everywhere in the West. And then 18 years ago, we started this race called Streetcar Super Nationals. So not Super Streetcar Nationals. And this race has grown into it is a monster. It is 750 entries last year. we're working on some safety issues, whether with its engine restraint systems for oil. A lot of these cars they're just on kill when they go to this race. Everybody wants to rotate the earth, and they do it at Vegas in November. This year is November 18th through 21st. My wife and I, Heather, out there. Hi, honey. We work all year for that race. I mean, we're always doing something, promoting it, making the race better, making it easier for the racer to register. And then we bring in Kurt Johnson, Jeff Foster, and Craig Cochran at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. They bring in the best crew. Last year, like I said, we had everything like stacked against us from the number of cars. We had what they call a haboob. If you don't know what a haboob is, it's like a wind rainstorm that came through. I mean, everything that just, kind of worked against us on that race. However, that race is huge. It's going to be huge again this year. We'll work on getting some of the oil on these cars, to make sure that we can keep them in the car and not on the track. And we'll make that race a lot better. Then PSCA, so 23rd year for PSCA. We're now changed it to Premier Streetcar Association. We have races in Denver, and we start that Memorial Day weekend. We partnered up with Magna Fuel and PFI Speed. We got some import classes. We got Outlaw 10.5. We have XDR, and we have a limited small tire class. So we run 4 times a year in Denver. The Bandamiers are a great family to work with, as you well know. The track is phenomenal. Something that if you've never been to Bandamere or never been to Denver, you got to go to that track, because it is. I mean, it's carved in the side of a mountain, and it's a beautiful facility.
All right. Yes, I haven't been able to make it out there to Las Vegas to your event. It's definitely on my bucket list, because it's like the happening thing out there on the west side of the country for door slammers, and it's like you have every big name come out there, and it is definitely worthwhile to see and experience. But ADRL, American Drag Racing League, it's back, and you are at the helm of it and running forward with this brand and this banner, and it's going to be kicking off here very soon at the Texas Motorplex in a couple of weeks, and you got some regular big names coming back out. I'm gonna let you talk about this first event, and as you talk about it, I'm gonna bring up some cars, and people can see what's going on, and you comment on the cars or comment on the event, just go on it.
All right, well, sounds good. Brought back to ADRL. We basically Pro Extreme, small tire, big tire, 6.0 index, 7.0 index, 5.0 old school back half, and pro and top junior dragster. I'm basically running it. I'm doing the day-to-day. I'm out distributing tickets. We got the guys from Texas Motorplex, DeMarcus. We're all out here getting tickets into the market. And you have to thank people that help get this thing going. One of them, Larry Jeffers Race Cars. He also owns Extreme Racing Oil and Fuel. Larry, monumental in getting this off the ground, being able to make it to where we can have guaranteed purses. So everything's guaranteed, little to no entry fee. And that's one of the key deal. So basically in just about all of the heads up and junior dragster classes, it basically, a racer comes up and it's $50 to get in for the weekend. That's pretty cheap. So, and then we have media like Cameron. I see Cameron right there. He comes out, films the race. It's going to be a spectacle. ADRLtour.com is the website. We have all the information on there. As you can see, these are all around town, free for spectators. Jim Phillips is on there. How you doing, Jim Phillips? Big Nasty. He's going to be on one of my shirts these days. So, but free tickets for spectators. It's $20 a carload to park. So if you just want to come, bring the whole family, 4 people in your car, $20. That's it. If you want to park in the pits, And with your free tickets, it's $50 for VIP parking. If you want to bring your cooler and all that and come in the pits, more than welcome to. It's $50 VIP parking. You go to Adrl Tour. There's print tickets, links everywhere on the Texas Motorplex website. I mean, as soon as you open that website, bam, you can print your free tickets. It's going to be a cool deal. And and I get, everyone's talking about expense going to NHRA and all that. They did a little thing on it, and it hasn't gone up as much as, the inflation has, but it just seems that way. But ADRL, $20 to park, free tickets. We got them everywhere. Even got a little Patron on the screen, I see. But we got another guy. We got a guy in here in town named John. He's been out here. Going everywhere for us, putting tickets out. Me and DeMarcus. It's fun. We get to talk to the business owners, in the area and create excitement. And ADRL brings excitement. Pro Extreme, 2,450 pounds for any kind of boosted car. The Frankie Taylors, the Bubba Stantons, Steve Wiley, which I want to thank Steve Wiley. He's doing our special trophies for this event. So thank you, Steve Wiley, out there at Turnkey Speed Shop. And if I can just name a few people that do help us while I'm rambling on here, but Larry Jeffers Race Cars with Extreme Racing Oil, RJS Racing Equipment, Voss Wheelie Bars, the official wheelie bar, Red Tide Canopies, official canopy, Turnkey Speed Shop with Steve Wiley, A1 Auto Body of Broken Arrow. They're putting in $1,000 for the number 16 qualifier. So basically, if you get a Pro Extreme car, costs you $50 to come race it, guaranteed $7,500 to win. You qualify, just say you qualify 16, right? That's a terrible spot because that means you're racing number one. Well, you get $1,000 thanks to A1 Auto Body. Hyperflow Performance, Signature Flooring with Bubba Stanton. Summit Racing, that's another thing I want to mention real quick. Summit Racing of Arlington. They've been having our tickets displayed, putting them in customers' bags. That's huge when you have a company as big as Summit that will come down to the grassroots, fan to help them get a ticket. Bruce Lauer Chevrolet, and then all of our the O'Reilly Auto Parts, the Advance, every one of these companies that come out here and let us put these tickets in their stores and shops. We appreciate it, and our goal is to fill the stands here at Texas Motorplex. You may not do it in the first race, but I guarantee come September, man, it's gonna be wild. And these guys that put their heart and soul into their race cars, they want to race in front of people. They want people swarming around their pits. That's what ADRL does. That's what the brand does, and we're gonna bring it back. How about that?
Right. You mentioned already going back in the fall to the Texas Motorplex, and that is going to be the Tuesday night portion of the Stampede of Speed. Is that correct?
No, that's actually going to be it is a Tuesday, but that'll be the third time we come to Texas Motorplex. We have an event September 16, 17, the U.S. drags.
Right. So you got 3 events at Texas Motorplex, one at St. Louis, Worldwide Technology, Raceway Park,
August
aka Gateway.
Yep.
So got them spread out through the year, and wow, going to be a part of the Stampede of Speed. I think that is huge for the ADRL to have that within that banner, because the Stampede of Speed already established itself last year that it's the thing in drag racing, and they're going to do it again.
Oh, absolutely. It's it was 7 days, and now it's going to be 9 days because they're adding in the Funny Car Chaos World Finals. So you're talking, man, if you got 2 weeks vacation, spend it in Ennis, around the area, get a motorhome, get here. It is unbelievable what you're going to see for the Stampede of Speed, from concerts to rodeos to drag racing, just nonstop. And like I said, I'm so blessed to be able to be a part of it. And we also, another one of the deals I do is we're the official merchandise for Texas Motorplex. So, so I get to spend a lot of time here. I've been on the road now for like 2.5 months. Went home for 3 weeks to see my family. So my wife, Heather, my kids, I miss you guys. We're going to see you in a couple of weeks when I can get back to the Denver area. But, happy. And then I can't forget, happy Mother's Day, Heather. Happy Mother's Day to my mom, Arlene. We love you.
So Mel, there's the PDRA that's out there. There is the Northeast Outlaw Pro Mod Association. There's the NHRA itself with its own door slammer section. There's the NMCA. There's Southern Nitrous Outlaws out there in they're mainly like Alabama, Tennessee.
Yep.
What makes ADRL different, and why should competitors haul up, go to Texas or go to St. Louis and participate with their bad fast hot rods that are door cars in the ADRL? Why should they show up?
The main reason is the fans. I mean, it's you, like I said, you build these cars. You don't build the cars to race, in front of nobody. And the ADRL brings fans, just like No Prep Kings brings fans. We bring the fans, and then we'll give you a unbelievable track surface, very inexpensive to enter for the racer. I mean, I don't know what all the entry fees are across the country. There are a few that do have free to no entry, but then there's quite a few where, by the time a racer pays to get in and pays the test, they're in $1,000, $1,200. That's a lot of money before you even, start your car, pull it out of the trailer, and and then obviously we have fuel cost, and I'm, I get the same thing. I mean, I'm out doing tickets. I'm traveling from race to race, fuel is over $5 for diesel right now. No matter where you go, you might be able to find it in the $4 range. So if we can put on an event, for one, help the race fan not have to spend an arm and a leg to get through the gate, and then double that with the racers having very little to no entry fees, man. I mean, it just you think it's a perfect storm right now. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens next week. It's May 13th and 14th, Texas Motorplex. And then August 5th, 6th, we go to Worldwide Technology Raceway right outside of St. Louis.
So what is the future for the ADRL? I know we got to get through 2022 and get these events be successful. But with Mel Roth at the helm, where do you hope it goes? Is it 6, 8, 10 events? Is it including some venues from the East and West? Is it staying in the Midwest? What's the hopes and the dreams of Mel Roth with the ADRL?
2023, the goal is 6 events. And then, we're not, I mean, we're going to venture out, but we're not going to go too far out. We know the PDRA has their area. We know, other organizations, and then, have their niche, their crowd, their racers. So, and we also want to work with XRP, with Galen and Clyde, because they have a similar, monthly pro mod show, Extreme Pro Mod, they call it, and which is a great deal. And, almost every one of the racers that will race ADRL races at XRP. It's a great track, great facility, and owners actually, run the track. So it's like, so we can work together, not schedule our races on top of each other. And last year we had Galen and Clyde come to the Stampede of Speed and run in the pro mod deal. So we want to keep within our realm. We don't want to spread out and flop. So we know we need to keep it, somewhat in the area, and but we will venture out. Absolutely.
Awesome. Stan's got this question. He asks, do you think we'll ever see Outlaw Pro Mod running in the 540s or faster like El General did in Vegas years ago?
Wow. Well, we had 2 when we had it at St. Louis. We actually had quarter mile Extreme Pro Mod, and Frankie Taylor went a 548, and then Turkey Al Safari, I believe is his exact name. He went a 5:46. It was a side by side, 1 o'clock in the morning. I mean, 100-degree day turned into night. It wasn't any cooler, but it was probably the best drag race I'll ever seen. If anyone has, obviously everyone's got YouTube, but you YouTube that particular race, on between Frankie and Turkey, man, it was unbelievable. For two cars to go through eliminations, and at the end of the night, side by side, I mean, they were just tied to each other. And Frankie thought he had him, but it was just right at the end. Turkey went around him with some higher mile an hour. But I think the problem is we had 540s in Vegas 2 years ago, and we still have quarter mile in Vegas. But it's hard to do quarter mile unlimited anywhere because of the speeds of these cars. I mean, when they're going 270, 280, which they will go, man, that's fast. I mean, you got to look in driver safety and stuff like that. So that's why almost everything now is 8th mile, except for NHRA and a couple others. But like I said, they're ruled up so they don't go 280.
Yes, it's wild to look at the scoreboard, and I remember watching Ricky Smith in testing and thinking he went over 250 in testing, and I'm like, man, that's less than 50 miles per hour from 300, and it's a door car. And then, as you mentioned, you see door cars go 270 and 280, and it's like, I don't know if they were ever intended really to do that.
Well, luckily we did it when we do it at Vegas or St. Louis. There's enough shutdown. Yeah. However, there's still small margin for error. You don't want to have something happen to a driver just because they want to go 280.
Right, for sure. So with the ADRL here in 2022, who do you think is going to be the standout in the competition that you are going to be having come out in Pro Extreme? Do you think it's going to be like a Bubba Stanton, Frankie Madman Taylor battle? Who do you think is going to be the standouts?
Well, I mean, when you think of Pro Extreme, I mean, in the past, when you look at the champions, you have Mike Riccia. I don't know if Mike Riccia is going to run this year. He's probably going to race our St. Louis race, but he's not going to run for the title. But you have to think of a Bubba Stanton and a Frankie Taylor. But man, I'm telling you, if you look at them list of names, you see that Ronnie Hobbs. Woo, man, that car is fast. I mean, there's so many fast cars out there. There's Ronnie Hobbs right there. Then you have John Stouffer that with Scott Palmer tuning it. And I mean, there's so many cars, and I can go ahead and if you run all them cars again that I posted up to Facebook, I mean, almost every one of these cars is capable of winning, but there's Frankie Taylor. He is the last ADRL champion. Bubba Stanton's a 2-time, world champion. And then will you get a Galen Smith or a Clyde, coming in, and then, Bill Doucette, that car, that Willie's right there. Wow. That thing is fast and a great team, and they definitely know how to win. And then you got locals. You got Paul Brandt. You got Kevin Hargett. You got Jeffrey Cummings. I mean, there's so many of them, and so it's hard to tell me, to tell you who I think is going to dominate. But if you just go by, the past, Frankie Taylor, Bubba Stanton, I mean, they got to be dethroned, So we'll see if they're dethroned, and you never know. I mean, there's some guys coming that I haven't put photos up, or they haven't wanted a photo up. So we'll see next week some of these cars that are going to debut, as they say, at the ADRL.
All right, so we've got a few Mountain Motor Pro Stock guys in the chat following along. So any aspirations to bring the Mountain Motor boys back within the fold of the ADRL?
I mean, we've had talks. That's all a financial thing for us right now. We want to get this thing rolling again. Once we can get it rolling, then the sky's the limit. But now PDRA really has a really strong Mountain Motor Pro Stock field. So It's like, 2 years ago would have been pretty easy to get going on that class. Now it might be a little tougher because there isn't that many of these cars spread across the country. And, with PDRA now having I think they had 16 at the first one, 13 or 14 at the second one. Those are solid fields right there.
It definitely is, and it's good to see. There's certainly enough Mount Motor Pro Stock cars for a full 16-car field. It's just everybody getting there all
Right.
at the same time. And so far, I've seen some momentum with the PDRA with a class of naturally aspirated door slammer that I do love. Love Mount Motor Pro Stock. Yeah. For sure. So
Mel, and the racers, I mean, these guys, they're the best, man. We, when we had them at Adrl, a year and a half ago, I mean, I love these guys, but like I said, you got to baby step it. So we're going to baby step it, and we'll see what happens. So it's all going to take work. I mean, it's not going to happen overnight, like I said, I've been out here in Texas now for almost 2 straight months, and I mean, it's a lot of work, but we'll see what happens later in the year.
So for anyone that is not going to be able to hop on the plane and make it to Texas or St. Louis, or they're not going to, get in the car and go down the road, any streaming options available with ADRL this time around?
Yeah, there's Flow Racing will cover us. So that's one of them. And Flow Racing covers the streetcar race in Vegas as well. So those guys are, obviously it's a pay per service, but, it's like anything else. I mean, it just, they have, if you watched our Vegas race, I mean, quality service. Some of the events across the country, sometimes they get bad internet or something, but if the consumer has good internet, and if you had a track with good internet like Texas or Vegas, and PDRA is part of that deal, you get a awesome show, and definitely worth the $129 or whatever it is a year.
Yes, good signal, good internet is paramount when it comes to that Flow broadcast. I have seen behind the scenes with Warren Evans in Funny Car Chaos, and
right,
he doesn't have much hair to pull, but when there is not good internet, it can be challenging for him. And I don't think people realize, sometimes you go to these old tracks out in the middle of nowhere and they truly have no internet. They just they haven't upgraded in that way.
Yeah. Well, I went to pick up a guy's trailer from your last Funny Car Chaos race. I went there last Sunday morning, and I know that they don't have a lot of internet because my phone wouldn't work when I got there. So maybe, it's tough. I mean, it really is. And that's a lot of things. We see the people complaining, oh, it did this, but I'm going to tell you, 9 out of 10 is because the person doesn't have enough signal to get it.
Yes.
I mean, when you're watching it on a decent internet, provider, man, it's like watching a television show. So
definitely. Yes. I think Flow overall does a good job. And I think in time, as long as they continue to step up the drag racing side of things, because that wasn't always a part of their portfolio, but if you look at their dirt track side, it is some stellar productions of what they put on. And I hope we have more and more of that come to the drag racing side under the Flow Sports banner, and drag racing being showcased the way in which it should be. Well, Mel, look, anything else concerning the ADRL this year in 2022 that I might not have touched on or asked, give you the platform and let it roll.
Well, we just want people to come out and support it. If we can get people to come out and support it, whether it's being a spectator, whether it's being a racer, I mean, we have a class for just about everybody to come out to race on a quality surface for next to nothing in front of a lot of fans. I mean, that's kind of a dream type deal. And like I said, we're gonna work as hard as we can to give everybody a amazing show, and just hope everyone supports it, and we'll see where it goes from here.
All right. Well, Mel, look, definitely think you're the right guy to lead the way and bring the ADRL back to prominence, and definitely hope, there are some amazing pictures in years past of like ADRL races of just stands full, and the Boss Boys You know, I know them from PDRA, and they talk about full stands. And there's others that I know from PDRA. They're like, oh, the stands were packed. And definitely want to see that back for drag racing. And it's good that you're at the helm of it, because I definitely think you're a guy that can get it done. And hopefully we see it sooner than later.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody. Well, for supporting me for the past 23 years, and look forward to seeing all our racers, whether it's be in Texas, Vandermeer, Las Vegas, or St. Louis. You know, we love you, and can't wait to see you. And my wife and kids get to see you guys in a couple weeks.
Awesome. Well, Mel, thank you for your time, man.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Power-Built Tools exemplifies innovation in the tool industry. From hand tools, power tools, and even tool storage. Check out powerbuilt.com for Power-Built Tools. And remember, use promo code MMR15 for 15% off at purchase.
All right, folks, thank you for watching along right here on Between the Slicks. Remember, content rolling out on Monday Morning Racer YouTube channel. The testing from ZMAX Monday will be coming out soon. Keep an eye out for that. And this weekend, I will be heading to the track just north of Birmingham, Alabama, for Southeast Gasser Association action. So you'll see that content as well. And be on the lookout at the Funny Car Chaos YouTube channel. Content from the most recent race in Lufkin, Texas at Pine Valley Raceway. That will be visible soon on the Funny Car Chaos YouTube channel. Be sure to hit the like button for me, hit the share button, subscribe to the Monday Morning Racer. You can follow on Instagram and Twitter as well, like the Facebook page. And until next time, and next time we'll be right here Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and we'll be talking about drag racing right here. To each and every one of you, God bless, and keep the pedal to the metal.